All right, guys, got to change of plan today, so we're always changing our plans. No, actually, this plan has been in the works for a while. We got our headers, I remember we were working on that one, got it bent back. We got our other two here, and we brought our buddies over from May Wes Manufacturing back in Minnesota. In
Minnesota?
The millennial Larson country. So they're a lot better.
But Nick, one thing you forgot. This is the better part because we're working on Case IH. And what brand are them two run?
We don't even say that.
We don't even want to talk about that.
So we got a product here we're going to be putting on our headers. And this is something we should have had on the last like 4 years. And what do we got? This is
our new cutter bar skid shoe.
Okay.
And it's going to outfit for the MacDon FD1 series as well as the Case IH 2100 series.
Okay, that's what we got.
And the New Holland 82, 83, and 86C series.
Awesome.
Platforms.
And this goes basically right under your cutter bar, the part that takes the most abuse. And if you've got crops like we like to grow, that's like this tall, that baby's on the ground a lot. And so instead of beating up your non-replaceable iron, you can put these on, and these are consumables.
Not only that, it's going to eliminate a lot of that pushing.
Oh, that'd be nice too. Oh yeah. So we bolt to our guard bolts, and this goes right under the face like that?
Correct.
I love that material, that is smooth. It's almost like oily, but it's not.
It's not.
It's got silicone in it.
Is it a silicone? Or it's get that like natural kind of loop, got it. Okay, well, let's go grab the skid steer. We'll grab the headers, bring them in, and start tearing this apart and putting them on.
Get to work.
And we got a special thing to put on that skid steer too, we gotta show you. This is pretty cool. So this doohickey is called the skid hish. And they brought this out. And normally we've used our forks on our skid steer with the attachment that leg arm's made to put a receiver hitch on. And this is the first actual time putting this on. So they brought this out. So it just goes over your, where's that pin at? It's right there. The pin that goes under. So you put your receiver hitch in, climb up there and throw the button. Let's see if we can get that locked in. You can run two of those. 2 trailers at one time. There we go. Locked in.
There's no play in there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's solid. Oh, yeah. Rock solid.
Hold on, Nick.
Okay, let's go get a header. That's gonna be nice. That's gonna be really nice. Not that the forks trick didn't work. It's just those forks are so wore out and wobbly, and well, this is just a little more control. So we'll see how Leg Arms likes it. Well, isn't that nifty? So it's actually made by one of their employees. Their son came up with the idea and started milking them in shop. And so I thought, well, let's bring it out and let them try it. And that's actually exactly what we need that for, is this right here. Get our homemade door open here. And this side. You're good there, Scott. That's good. So this is what we're trying to protect right here. See this? That's part of the header. That is not really replaceable. It's welded to everything. To fix that, not easy. But by putting these on here, we can protect that face when we're in. We find our, you guys know, rocks that we have everywhere. And this year really is out, whether we're gonna have a tall crop or a short crop. We got lentils, so no matter what, they're gonna be low. But I am really excited to get these out. This is gonna be really nice for these poor headers. All right, it's the 18th, day after the make or break rainstorm and storm. We ended up with just over 3/10. 3/10 total accumulation, which is awesome. Very happy with that. You know, I'd prefer to have 3 inches, but 3/10 is definitely gonna keep us in the game. Let's just take a shovel here. I'm gonna see how far 3/10 goes down. This is the next day, so the surface is drying a little bit, but let's see where we hit dry dirt. That sure goes in easier. Let's give you an idea of what 3/10 does. Hard down here. This area's got some moisture. Right in the top, so about 2 or 3 inches, it's still kind of muddy. I can stick my finger in there, see? 2 or 3 inches down. Get below that, hard. So you really need an inch of rain to probably make it wet all the way down to the bottom down here. 3/10 gets you about 2 or 3 inches of moisture in the surface. Now, the roots, if I can pull up one of these, are really shallow. I mean, wheat roots go down very deep, but there are still roots right in that layer of 2 or 3 inches here. So that means these plants right now, this winter wheat crop, is loving life right now, because all of a sudden it just got a shot of moisture and it's going, hey, let's go. Let's push these heads. So that's good. That's awesome. It's gonna be really nice. Even though you see the brown leaves firing at the bottom of this, the plant will stop for the moment, killing itself off to survive, if that makes any sense. And we'll now put effort towards continuing to grow and produce a crop. Now today, they're talking possibly a little bit more rain, and then in 2 days, another chance of rain. Not big, another 1/10 or 2/10, you know, but if you get all that over a period of a week, a couple tenths throughout the week, and then already have some moisture in the ground, you'll keep pushing that moisture down. You'll get a chance at possibly having more of a crop than we were expecting. Here's our lentils. These are our lentil roots. And these are supposed to nitrogen fixate too. I don't see a lot of nodules on these right here. There's the lentil seed. Same thing. Dry right here, rock hard. Soft. About 2 or 3 inches down. So that's good. That's good to see. A little right there. All right, well, praise the Lord. That's nice. I mean, moisture is welcome anytime. Anytime. At least here on this farm. I know some areas right now, they're saying, turn the water off. I know some areas have gotten 8-9 inches of rain in just a day or two. So yeah, that would be a bad thing. That's too much. There's always too much of something, but right now we'd take it. So I guess we'll report back in on the next rain, see what happens.
Now there's a few of those skid shoes that we left off because we got to do some work on the header, but for the most part it's ready to go. He's going to park this one, and then we're going to unhook him and hook onto this other header, bring it in the shop in case it happens to spit rain, which I do hope it rains. I'm sure it would be nice. Take all the rain that we can get.
Round 2, second header's in. And it needs the same work done. Actually, yeah, I don't think this one has the right bolts either.
May Wes, these guys are awesome. They set us up a couple seasons ago, probably like 3 or 4 seasons ago, with these 5-finger, like these things right here. Yeah, you can say hi. They're awesome because you have a small crop or big crops, just help rake it in. They don't just cut through like it's just a single tine. We love those things, but they also set us up with these little skid shoes right here. Those things, I wish we knew about them like years ago because these headers never had them. I didn't know you could get them on these headers. And since we cut really short crops, those have been really, really handy. So thank you, appreciate
Absolutely.
it. What are those called?
These are the cut bar skid shoes.
Okay.
Okay.
And you guys set us up with,
And left and right end skid shoes.
there you go.
And center skid assemblies.
Want to say thank you. You guys have been awesome. I love the free labor that we didn't have to pay for. It's great. It made me kind of feel a little useless and fat and lazy, but that's okay. I'm sassy, so we're good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyways.
And just so you know, I love John Deere, but I really gloat when I'm working on red.
Oh, do you? Okay. So you pick favorites.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. That's a definite yes. Like, definitely yes. He's a favorite picker. Anyways, I want to say appreciate it very much. Thank you guys. It's been awesome. We've had a lot of fun throughout the day. And you guys stay classy.
All right. Knee heater core has arrived. With the heater core in. No more soldering. Wasn't able to fix that old one, so that's fine. This will work just great. Because it's an exact match, and that worked out perfect. So let's throw it in. Get that buttoned up, and then a little more polishing on the tanks, eventually the wheels, a couple more odds and ends, and then I think we got to take this down the road for a test drive. And then take it to a diesel shop and let them do a little bit of a to the set screw on the, or the set screw, the pump on the injector pump and turn her up a little bit. Get her right around that 500 horse, 550, 600, 700, maybe 800 horse, 900. Do 900. And we'll be ready to roll.
Uh-oh. Dad's little Colorado's got some oil dripping, and he's got some other problems going on. You want to talk about what you experienced?
Well, as you can, as I see in that first part of this video or of this truck, I had to pick it up and haul it back with the trailer because there were some big issues, and one of them was when I opened the hood, there's oil all over in the front cover down, and I thought, well, something must have happened to the crankshaft seal, but it was running rough. It just didn't. I was pulling up a hill, and it started to power down, and then when I got to the overpass, I wasn't going to go any farther. It died, and it starts rough. There's some clanking going on right at the beginning. It smooths out, and then it kind of starts really running rough. So something internal has happened. So we're trying to diagnose on the outside, what do you think it is?
Well, I've been telling you to not use that NOS button so much. I know you like the power, you enjoy that instant satisfaction, but it's going to come at a cost when you keep using that NOS button.
Well, I like gas, and this is a real gasser.
Nick said he thought he saw the crankshaft, like the harmonic balancer, slightly wobble. And so that could be a couple things. We're just kind of diagnosing what we think. Maybe a rod bearing, crankshaft bearing failed, something inside internally, and it's just creating a vibration. But one thing I did real quick, and I didn't get on camera, and I want to show you, is I took a glove, because I want to see, since there's oil that's developing on top of the motor, that tells me that there could be something else going on internally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this glove, take off your oil cap, and you're going to see something that I noticed right away that is not a good sign. I'm going to take my fingers and push it around the cap so that it can create a pressure. All right, go ahead and start it up. You see how that glove is, how it's blowing up? Not a good sign. You know what that tells me? He's got crankcase pressure. So it's bypassing. You shouldn't have any air really coming out of this because they have a breather on the motor. There is so much pressure being developed. It's trying to go somewhere. And so it's developing where it's pushing the glove and inflating it. So a couple things it could be. Maybe he had a spark plug fail and pieces went inside and scored the cylinder walls, and it's bypassing through the piston. It could be the piston cracked somehow and he's getting blow by from that. It could be a valve seat fell or broke, or maybe something else in the intake fell down inside, or something else just happened and we don't have an explanation for it. So now in a situation like this is a 2005?
Yes.
Okay, so a 2005.
2800 four-banger.
Okay, and then how many miles are on this pickup?
About 115, 116,000.
Okay. What would you guys do if you knew this motor's junk? We don't know for sure, but we're looking at it and thinking it's got major problems. We'll pull the spark plugs out and we'll see what we see. But would you try to find one in a junkyard? Would you take this one apart and try to get it rebuilt? Would you get a crate engine? Would you dump money into a 2005 pickup like this? Or do you just take your losses and get rid of it and find something different? And then somebody else, maybe they have a wrecked vehicle that has a good engine that they want to put in it. I don't know. That's a lot of unknowns, because either way, it's kind of a sucky situation. It sure seems like Welker Farms goes through a few engines in the past couple of years.
Well, one thing we could maybe consider is taking a V8 and cutting it in half and then running 4.
Well, we got a Sawzall. We could do that.
Yeah, could do that.
Sawzall and a few blades, like, I don't know, 500 blades. We'll probably get it done. So anyways, yeah,
or I could take it down the road as fast as it could go until everything, the hood comes up and smoke and fire shoots out of it.
This thing even come off? I'm just curious if I... No, that looks clean. I just wanted to see if for some reason it looked really dirty. Because then you'd know of other issues, but... All right, well, how hard is it to get out these spark plugs? Are they pretty difficult?
We'll just remove that, and
Are they right
then
on top?
each spark plug igniter is on the top, the coils.
Coil.
And then you pull it and pull the spark plug out. We can take a look at each one and see.
And then we can throw a scope in each hole and just kind of just see what it looks like. But I think that's the next step we got to find out, because there's oil being forced out of the top of the engine because of crankcase pressure, it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's pull the stop off and see what we can come up with. See that round spot right there? That whole area right there is round, and it's like the piston.
Something's been beaten on it, looks like.
No, I think you have an injector that failed. And then you look at this one here. See how that one doesn't have that?
Okay.
But you see that round ring?
Yeah.
Right there?
So do you think I mean, the only way...
And that cylinder wall right there kind of almost looks like particles. I mean, it's hard to tell with this camera. Best thing to do is we got to take a compression test. All right, we took a scope. This cheap thing here that it works. It's not a very good camera, but it's good enough to kind of get an idea. The first 3 cylinders looked okay. All 4 spark plugs looked fine, but the last cylinder, something on top of the piston looked kind of weird. It had this weird ring on the piston, like it's been washed, is what I'd like to say. And so I would say that it's possible he lost an injector and it was just forcing tons of fuel in there, and he was going up a hill, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And he was using it higher RPMs, and it might have scorched the piston a little bit, and then, well, damage, because aluminum and heat aren't necessarily best of friends at times. So we're going to take a compression test. If I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, a good engine is anywhere from like 150 to 180 PSI, I think, at least a good 150. Anything below that, it'll still run to like 120, but not very good. And so we'll just try to see what we get. We'll do a compression test on all 4 cylinders, and then we'll get an idea what they are. That'll tell us what kind of damage. Because that's your number one thing you should do, is test the compression. Yeah. Well, that doesn't fit.
That works. You have to slide that. It did fit. You have to slide that ring all the way
Oh, there
forward.
we go. Okay. We barely got 100 PSI. Let's check another cylinder. Okay. That one's about 140 PSI. Okay. About 140. About 118. Well, after doing a compression test, number one cylinder is on the inline is usually the closest one to the radiator. So that one had about was it
118.
118 roughly. Then it was almost 140, and then it was barely 100 psi on the back one, barely. And so minimum requirement online says about 90 psi for combustion to explode. But if you look at the oil residue up here and down below, it's building pressure somewhere.
Yeah, and I would think that even at 100, it wouldn't be that much blow by. Yeah.
Probably the next indication is the oil filter needs to come off, crack
Yep.
it open, and see what it looks like on the inside. It's probably the next thing. So,
Yep.
but yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Always something. So you crack the oil filter open. What'd you find?
I found nothing. I found no filings in there. Just used oil. So
Okay.
I opened all the fins up, and so definitely there's no pieces of metal going through the system.
So that's usually, I mean, that's a good sign to not find much in your oil filter. The spark plugs have a pretty continuous burn on all of them. They look pretty similar.
yeah, very similar
And
color.
we're looking, okay, why do you have oil splashed up on top of the hood and it's all oil on the front cover, and we're looking around on it and we're kind of wondering if maybe his power steering lines got a hole in it, because that looks like power steering fluid in a way, because it's got the same color as that fluid reservoir and it's a little low. So it's possible he blew steering fluid. But as far as why you're bogging down and having lack of power,
Yeah, and then it knocks when
And-
you first start. It starts knocking, then it quits, and then it's when you're low idle, it's sitting there.
there's definitely something. Obviously, the compression test says that we've got a weak cylinder for sure on one, another one that's okay, and then two that are good. But anyways, he's going to put a new filter back on and then put the spark plugs back in the holes, put it back together. We'll start it up and we'll rotate the steering back and forth, put a little extra fluid in there and see if it starts gushing oil. Otherwise, we'll try to look around and see. I don't know what to say, because the symptoms of diagnosing, it sounds like it's an internal problem, why it's building pressure and blowing oil somewhere. But who knows, maybe he could put it together and put some fluid in it and change a line, and it might run for a while and then finally crater, or maybe it'll crater before you can get out of the shop. I don't know. Obviously, there's something problem, like something major is wrong. But yeah, I know. I wish I could talk to a lot of you guys mechanics out there and ask, what are your opinions? What do you see? What do you know? But by the time you see this video, we'll probably have a decision made.
All right.
Anyways, put it back together.
It's something to do with it's trying to find. I wonder if it is.
That's pretty rough running. Is there much oil shooting around? Huh. You trying to give it throttle and it won't fire? Give it a little bit of throttle. Boy, it sounds like a timing, like it's either really retarded or, I mean, it's not advanced because it's not pinging.
It does have a valve actuator, and it's a shaft with a bunch of grooves, and it has there's 3 grooves and screens on them.
Okay.
At least I know the 3.5 it says does, And these are all the same engines. They just add one more cylinder is all they do. They have the same parts. That's how they get from a 2.8 to a 3.5.
Right.
But they said that is a problem. So if it controls the exhaust valves. So if it's not running them, trying to figure it out, it wouldn't even fire.
Are you getting in check engine light at all?
Yeah.
Have you checked the codes?
I did before, and that's why I thought it was the valves.
I appreciate, first of all, I want to say I appreciate you guys watching and seeing what we do as we're trying to diagnose. And for those that do understand terms and understand all the mechanics and stuff, I appreciate you guys being very patient when we try to explain it to those that don't. So when I say like advanced and retarded, the timing, when it sparks, when the piston's coming up, if it's advanced, it'll spark before the piston hits top dead center. So before the piston goes up, it might spark, try to ignite, and then it'll do a detonation and you'll start hearing pinging because it's trying to force that piston down before it gets to top dead center. So then what happens is if you have it retarded, it will fire after the piston's going down, okay? So you might not get all of that energy. So what it sounds like, as he's throttling it up to me, it sounds like it's retarded that timing where it's sparking much more after the piston's going down, because it just kind of, it's thumping along, it's trying to, and it just doesn't have the oomph and power, but it's not knocking. So I don't know if that's part of it, but that's what it sounds like to me. Now, as far as the oil problem, I don't know. It's hard to say where that's coming from, and we don't know if it's power steering or if it's actually the coming out from somewhere else. Because what's interesting is if it's a crankshaft seal on the front next to the harmonic balancer, usually what happens with that is it just runs out and drains on the bottom. It doesn't splatter it. And the fact that we got oil splattered up here and all around down here says it could be something else, like maybe a gasket blew and it's forcing it out of the cover, and then it's getting on the belt and it's flinging everywhere. It's hitting the fan, flinging everywhere, or something spraying down below, hitting the fan and it's flinging it.
Yeah, see, crankshaft position, camshaft correction. That's what it's trying to do. And then it has multiple cylinder misfire detected, which is obvious.
Okay, and then you got crankshaft positioning sensor.
But that might be what's going on.
But it says crankshaft position, camshaft position. So that's very possible. Now, where's that? Do you know where that's located?
Well, right here. This is it right here. This is the set, and it goes in there, and that's it runs off the engine oil pressure, and it might have finally just the screen plugged or.
And you checked your engine oil, right?
Oh yeah,
and it's got plenty of oil.
Well, that's what's so crazy about the whole situation is that it was down. It was only 2 quarts left when I pulled it back. So I found some oil and dumped it in there because I figured I would have to pull the engine or drain it or whatever. And that's why I thought all this oil is coming from, and it must be coming from the engine. But
well, it's oil activated, so if it's possible that it's not creating enough oil pressure, it's not going to be able to adjust the cam timing.
Yeah.
So, and you've got, this is the trans, or is this the engine oil? That's engine oil.
This is the engine oil.
Here's a rag. Just check it again. And you wonder why you got to pay mechanics a lot of money to try to diagnose and figure it out, because it could be lots of things.
One of us is a dipstick. All right, so it is down to about the add again.
Well, I think we need to add some more oil, because it's possible that it might not have enough oil to actually activate that timing adjustment cam sensor thing, majigger doodad. And we're learning as we're going too. We don't get to mess with enough motors and engines to really be current on all the new stuff. That's how you get smarter. You have a problem, just got to figure it out, and sometimes it's not so pleasant to figure out, but you get it figured out eventually, hopefully. Keyword. You can sense the certainty in my voice. But yeah, it's one thing where You lose power, it's knocking. All right, you might have an internal problem. But the fact that there's a bunch of oil sprayed everywhere and the same problem, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Don't know. Anyways, stay tuned. So you went online, you found out that this unit on the side of the motor is pretty much, what do they call it again?
It's a camshaft actuator.
Okay.
And it adjusts the exhaust valve so that you don't have an EGR. They designed this motor so that with that, you don't have an EGR system on it.
Gotcha. Well, anyways, the way that this thing looks like, it looks like just a solenoid with a plunger that opens and shuts depending on how it needs to for the pressure of the motor. And they got a little screen on here, and as we pulled it out, it was kind of getting hard to get it out. But that screen has got junk on it, and he found a little tiny piece of metal
That was in one of the grooves.
that was on the groove. So he's got contaminants of junk inside the motor. Now, what it's from, we don't know yet. He tried starting it up again, put a little bit more oil in the engine, and it was just barely loping along, couldn't hardly run. So that's why we pulled this thing out. We'll clean this up, make sure it's moving properly, and then we'll put it back in and just see if it runs any better. But obviously there's damage already done in the engine. You can't hurt it any worse. So, but that sign of little contaminants of, those are fairly good sized shards. It's not a good sign. All right, well, we'll clean this up and we'll see what it looks like after we put it back in. Fun. So we're gonna put it back in, cleaned it up. Let's pull it back. Yeah. What happens when you turn the power steering? I think it's power steering that's leaking. So the oil that we're getting is power steering fluid. I see a line that's leaking down below. But as far as why it's doing that, doesn't sound good. Got a lot of water residue coming out of it. But it's not coolant. Wrap it up pretty good. All right, now let it idle. Wow, Dad, come over here and fill this. You got yourself a steam engine.
The only way you can do that is it has to blow by the piston.
Yep, here, let me show you. That should not do that. Like, no, that's a, no. Motors shouldn't do that. Unless they're for a demolition derby. Then maybe they should be, but you got your answer what you need to do with this truck. Either find a motor or see if somebody wants it.
I don't know if, I don't think you can miss those spark plug, when you slip them back in there again, the coil.
But that doesn't have anything to do with.
I didn't know if it was missing on that. Like, no.
Your blow by.
It's way too much.
The blow by going past the pistons into the crankcase, it's a lot. Like, that is a no-no. So yeah, unless you want to run, I don't know, probably 80, 90 weight, it'll seal that up, and then you won't have any leaks through.
Yeah.
I mean, it might take about 50 horsepower to turn this thing over, but actually that's probably all it has right now. It probably only has 50 horsepower. All right. Yeah, that tells us what we need to know.
No.
Go park it, and we'll figure out something later. Sorry, Dad. Been there.
Yeah.
Nick's been there.
Yes.
It's your turn.
Yeah. Mine is a little less value than yours, but
Yeah, and it's cheaper to build than mine, but
yeah.
all right.
Okay.
Well, at least you guys got to see that. Yeah. That sucks. It's not a good sign. But anyways, things happen. You just got to deal with it. Try it again. The little engine that could. Hey! Do a burnout! Did you guys see that burnout? Oh, man. That was really sad. Oh, that's a sad deal. I don't know if you guys have as many engine problems as we do, but kind of getting old. But we also do run a lot of older stuff on this farm, and I mean, not all of it's older, but there's a lot of engines on a lot of stuff, so things can happen. But yeah, what a deal.